All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you?
So your character, Jonathan, is new. How does he fit into the story?
This is not like the traditional Prince Charming and
Tell
tights.
by the hair.
Yeah, the hair,
right.
he's kind of scruffy.
Rachel Zegler didn't stroll into Hollywood. She kicked down its jewel-encrusted doors and ruby stilettos, brandishing a mission statement longer than the end credits of a Marvel epic. She promised to rescue the classic princess from Dusty.
Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
Broke out with this news, and I'm very, very, very excited and looking forward.
Patriarchal tropes, repaint the kingdom in neon empowerment, and still tuck $1 billion Disney dollars into the studio vault by lunchtime. Instead, she allegedly detonated the very castle she was hired to guard. The live-action Snow White didn't just trip on a trailing ball gown hem, it face-planted off a $1 billion cliff, spraying red ink across quarterly reports and scorching every bridge between Burbank and Main Street.
Last week was a very big week, objectively a huge week. We had quite a few announcements. It's first live-action film, which is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me, I'm Snow White, which is so fun.
Part of the first, fairy tale ever told.
U.S.A. critics dubbed it the Generation Z revolution no one asked for. Disney called it synergy. Bloggers called it a ticking bomb. Audiences simply went elsewhere. The studio's marketing line, "This is not the story you know,"
pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film,
proved prophetic. It definitely wasn't. And the fallout became the harshest. Fairy tale lesson in modern cinema. Opening weekend should have been a coronation of synergy and nostalgia. Instead, domestic receipts limped into the low 40s, global tallies wheezed under 200.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
And by the third Friday, the film toppled beneath a micro-budget slasher no one outside Reddit had heard of. Insiders later confessed the break-even, bloated by strike delays and VFX overages, sat north of $500 million. Ticket stubs were scarce, excuses abundant.
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's gonna lose money on this movie, and I believe it only made less than $1 million.
Tie-in fast food promotions vanished after toys lay untouched in cafeteria trays. Box office analytics flagged merchandise revenue underperforming Moana by 60+%. Plans for a prestige Disney Plus rollout mutated into a late-night digital dump, whispered around the lot as The Burial. Outside the U.S., Leicester Square sliced showings in half by midweek.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime, and let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
China grudgingly offered a single-week engagement. Even pandemic misfires of 2021 hadn't bled so publicly. Investors stared at slides full of red and wondered if a single performer could drag an entire empire to its knees. Flashback to July 2023, Beverly Hilton Ballroom, ring lights, caramel.
Oh my God. Queen, playing the evil queen. It was pretty amazing.
Lattes. Zegler, radiant in couture that looked more breastplate than gown, fielded soft questions until she didn't. Asked if modern audiences still needed Prince Charming, she leaned in and dropped a cultural nuke. The prince was literally a creepy stalker. 14 syllables. One trending catastrophe. Reporters dashed to social feeds. Within hours, TikTok loops remixed her soundbite to dubstep.
Doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
Not My Snow White dominated the charts for days. Family bloggers canceled sponsored unboxings. School librarians debated the tie-in picture book. And Good Morning America devoted a 7-minute panel to ask if fairy tale deconstruction had jumped the shark.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing, before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
Nobody wants a movie about true love. What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
Zegler doubled down, tweeting that kids deserved heroes who rescue themselves. Admirable on paper, fatal at the box office. Lifestyle vloggers scrubbed set visit videos, while a BookTube star shredded the novelization live on stream. The phrase creepy stalker prince entered fanfic lexicons as shorthand for any male lead deemed problematic. Disney shareholders don't cash ideological IOUs, they cash ticket stubs. None were coming. While the internet throttled itself, a scalpel carved the script. Crew members, protected by NDAs thicker than a castle wall, say Zegler leveraged the uproar to justify a narrative overhaul. Whole dialogue runs for Andrew Burnap vanished. BACKSTABBED. Soaring Duet became a solo hymn to self-actualization. Stage directions reading Prince Kneels, pledging undying love, morphed into Prince Exits irrelevant. Table reads turned tense. Veteran actors used to collaboration recited dawn pages that were shredded by noon. A dialect coach quit citing directional whiplash. VFX crews begged for stability. Instead, they got new orders. Extend the final. Battle so Snow could dive off a cliff, catching her reflection in a glass shard before landing superhero pose. Render times ballooned 800 hours, animation leads slept on office floors, and budgets bulged like poisoned apples left in the sun. February 2024, dawn drizzle on the forest backlot. Burnap, patience exhausted, confronted Zegler and Miwent, a corridor barely wide enough for two egos. Voices ricocheted from hushed pleas to volcanic roars. A wardrobe rack toppled, lighting rigs shivered. Someone pressed record. It's Hollywood reflex. By mid-afternoon, a grainy hallway clip hit gossip feeds. Burnap storming out, Zegler's mascara streaked like war paint. HR drafted NDAs tighter than a corset, but the secret was out. The prince and princess despised each other, and audiences could smell the frost on screen. Damage control became the unofficial fifth shooting unit. Publicists tested endless statements against sentiment dashboards glowing amber. Extras donned hidden Team Andrew or Team Rachel badges under capes like medieval house sigils. Craft services. Split orders into rival lines. Even the production accountant joked about invoicing conflict therapy. Inside Disney's glass-walled marketing bunker, whiteboards mutated into fever dream spider charts. Red yarn snaked between words like empower, modern, and a frantic circled save Q2. Trailers were emergency sliced. Every lingering glance between Snow and the prince scrubbed, replaced by slow-motion sword spins and hashtag-ready one-liners. Romance out, boss mode in. Merch teams followed orders at warp speed. Twin pack dolls, Snow, and Charming hand in hand vanished overnight, leaving lonely action figures of Snow brandishing a dagger longer than her forearm. The gamble backfired spectacularly. Legacy blue and yellow Snow figurines from 2019 outsold the Crimson redesign 3-1 on Amazon's movers and shakers list. One analyst dubbed it the nostalgia revolt in plastic. Panic rippled to the parks. Character attendants quietly unpacked the classic 1937 gown from storage, pressing pleats while managers rehearsed the official line. Guest request. New era Snow, with short hair and battle pauldrons, retreated to backstage exile, available only at fringe meet and greets scheduled during afternoon parades when crowds were thin. Creative brainstorms turned desperate. A Fortnite crossover skin featuring armored Snow dual-wielding pickaxes? Axed after teen focus groups burst out laughing and asked, "Is this satire?" A limited edition sneaker collab died on the vine after sneakerhead forums mocked. The concept art looks like a poisoned Air Force One. Consumer Insight dashboards bled bad news. A fresh survey of 5,000 parents, once primed for opening weekend outings, revealed 59% now preferred family movie night at home, citing unappealing changes and online drama. Streaming rivals, smelling opportunity. Peppered social feeds with free trial codes timed to Snow White's second Friday.pr scrambled for celebrity cavalry. Management pitched talking point packets to A-listers known for feminist branding. Silence. One platinum pop star finally tweeted, "Can't wait to see darn Snow White." In 57 minutes, the ratio hit DEFCON 1, her mentions flooding with snake emojis and read the room. Her publicist yanked the tweet and issued a midnight apology thread that ironically trended higher than any official trailer. Then, the guerrilla marketing war began. Anonymous X-fans crowdfunded rogue billboards along Sunset and Fairfax. Black background, gothic font, "Let Snow sleep." Center image, an open glass coffin, petals scattered, ticket stubs burning to ash. Local news vans filmed influencers snapping selfies in front of the morbid tableau. Hashtags more Snover and mock fairy tale fail splashed across TikTok. Inside headquarters, a junior brand strategist whispered what no executive dared. "We're not selling a movie anymore. We're fighting a meme." And memes move faster than any mouse, no matter how magic the kingdom. 14 days after Snow White free fell off the marquee, Disney convened a hush-hush Zoom war room. C-suite faces looked ghost-lit in laptop glare, while a single slide headline screamed, "Contain the contagion." The first casualty was the $250 million Tangled remake. Marketing decks were yanked mid-print, set struck while paint was still wet, and the studio memo used the bland euphemism, "indefinitely rescheduled." Everyone on the project knew the translation. Pack your desk props and polish the LinkedIn. Headline.art departments were ordered to redirect concepts into bite-sized Disney Plus shorts, a pivot insiders dubbed storyboard severance. Texture artists who'd spent 18 months perfecting Rapunzel's 70-foot hairstrand physics suddenly found themselves mocking up looping GIFs for a 5-minute mobile exclusive. One lead matte painter tweeted, then deleted, "From IMAX streams to smartphone screens in a single email." Meanwhile, the moneymen slapped on handcuffs. Completion bond insurers, spooked by Snow White's implosion, unveiled a brand new surcharge dubbed Z-Risk. Any production starring Rachel Zegler or an actor with a documented habit of online grenade throwing would now face a multi-million-dollar escrow buffer to cover potential backlash. At the next quarterly earnings call, analysts parroted the phrase as though it had always existed. "What's your Z-Risk mitigation strategy?" The term went viral faster than a headline typo, and Variety splashed it across a glossy cover under the banner, "Hollywood's New Anxiety Index." Competitors pounced like wolves, scenting wounded prey. Netflix executives mailed Disney a cheeky fruit basket shaped like the poisoned apple, one calculated bite missing. Universal, smelling blood, fast-tracked its own classic princess reboot and snapped up every VFX house Snow White had overworked and underpraised. Within weeks, those studios were humming with fresh cash and zero drama NDAs. The academic world followed suit. Film school professors rewrote syllabi in real time, slotting Snow White 2024 into week 1 as Case Study A, brand subversion and audience alienation. Lecture notes dissected everything from trailer tone shifts to tweet storms, while students ran sentiment analysis code to chart the exact hour public opinion flipped from wary curiosity to open revolt. Internally, Disney's creative halls felt like a castle after a dragon attack, scorched tapestries, wary courtiers. Greenlight committees now included a new seat labeled Franchise Integrity Officer, tasked with asking a single chilling question. Could this spark another Snow White? If the answer wasn't an immediate, unequivocal no, the project returned to the vault with a thud loud enough to echo down forever. The curtain hadn't even fallen before the internet drew battle lines sharper than the evil queen's cheekbones. Twitter threads unspooled like medieval scrolls, illuminated with emoji, punctuated by all-caps war cries. Traditionalists wailed that Disney had stabbed nostalgia in the heart, then danced on the grave in Doc Martens. Revisionists countered that a self-rescuing princess was long overdue, crowning Zegler the Joan of Arc of Gen Z cinema. Both camps hurled quote tweets like flaming arrows. Reactionary YouTubers cranked out hour-long rants with thumbnails screaming "disaster" in nuclear yellow impact font. Their playlists became infinite doom loops, each ad break padded with discount VPN codes and rage-shill merch. Across the aisle, progressive bloggers penned think pieces insisting the outrage was just misogyny repackaged, because apparently you can judge an entire fan base from a single Rotten Tomatoes score. Yet while the extremes screamed the silent, middle cast the only vote that matters in Hollywood, they stayed home. Multiplex lobbies echoed like cursed castles on a Tuesday matinee. Analysts coined a term for the phenomenon, the Apple Rift. Charts showed 2 spikes of noise and one vast valley of apathy where ticket sales should have bloomed. Corporate felt that void in pure, unambiguous dollars. Members weaponized the poisoned fruit motif overnight. One viral template featured a ruby red apple impaled on a dagger labeled corporate hubris. Another showed Snow White offering the fruit back to Disney executives, captioned, "You first." TikTok stitched the images into chaotic edits, each frame dripping with sarcasm and glitchcore overlays. Cottage industry artisans rode the wave. Etsy storefronts hawked enamel pins of snow-flashing katana-sharp smiles, slogans like "Not your 1937 damsel" etched in glitter. Orders flooded from both supporters and ironic buyers hunting collectors' items from a flaming train wreck. Meanwhile, Funko Pops of the classic blue and yellow dress vanished from shelves by late September as collectors panic-bought relics of the last pure version. Halloween clinched the verdict. Costume chain warehouses reported a nationwide sellout of the original Snow White gown by October 3rd. In stark contrast, the film's edgy crimson trim redesign, retail price $59.99, collapsed to an $11 clearance tag still untouched. Managers dubbed it shelf poison. TikTok teens captured guerrilla footage, scooping armfuls of the discount dresses only to shred them in backyard bonfires, synced to diss track remixes. Each destruction clip harvested millions of laughing cry reacts, the algorithm feasting on schadenfreude. By year's end, sociologists filed conference abstracts on how a single remake birthed a new cultural fault line. They mapped discussion, clusters the way seismologists track aftershocks. Their conclusion: nostalgia isn't merely a warm memory, it's tribal. April 2025. Burbank's main auditorium feels less like a shareholder meeting and more like a public inquest. Fluorescent lights, nervous PR reps, rows of disgruntled investors sharpening questions like spears. The first volley lands from a silver-templed hedge fund titan who clacks his pen against the mic and demands, "Which genius greenlit a $250 million lesson in audience alienation?" Murmurs ripple. The CFO inhales as if about to free dive, then recites buzz phrases, post-release sentiment recalibration, synergistic course correction, legacy fidelity initiative. Translation: from now on, the princess reads the lines on the page, period, but that's only Act 1. By nightfall, a 47-slide deck leaks to the trades. Slide 5 charts a nosedive in lifetime customer value. Slide 9 forecasts a 3-year climb just to restore goodwill to pre-flop levels. Bullet 3, highlighted in crimson, warns, core audience trust deficit may depress ancillary sales through FY 2028. Bullet 12, even grimmer, institute mandatory social media blackout. Clauses for lead talent. Violations trigger automatic clawbacks. One privately calls it the Rachel Rule. New committees sprout overnight. The freshly minted Lore Guardian Council wields veto power over any rewrite that dilutes canonical archetypes. Consumer insights teams receive bigger budgets than some animation units, tasked with pre-screening every empowerment tweak against mom and dad sentiment indices. Legal drafts, continuity integrity riders, obligating stars to promotional talking points down to adjective choice. Creativity hasn't vanished, insiders joke. It just now clocks in wearing ankle monitors. Meanwhile, finance hammers through. The numbers no spin doctor can soften. Insurance premiums on all IP remakes climb 8%, a penalty labeled audience alienation risk. Merchandising projects a $500 million shortfall over 5 years. Theme park Imagineers scrap. Radical ride overlays and pivot to faithful nostalgia refurbishments. Even the Disney Plus algorithm gets new guardrails. It will no longer auto-recommend experimental reboots to viewers flagged as classic-preferring households. As the meeting adjourns, one junior analyst captures the mood in a single tweet. Disney just swapped pixie dust for procedural. Checklists. In other words, welcome to the era where magic still happens, provided it passes committee, clears compliance, and doesn't dare clap back on Twitter. Rachel Zegler marched into Tinseltown waving hashtags like battle standards, determined to smash glass ceilings and rewrite bedtime stories in her own electric dialect. Instead, she allegedly smashed the mirror, reflecting the most valuable family brand on Earth. She pushed princes off pedestals, traded tender duets for lecture circuits, and transformed a beloved anthem of someday dreams into a viral sermon of today's grievances. The result is etched in shattered box office records, discounted merchandise, and a brand scrambling to rebuild trust brick by brick. Hollywood is built on reinvention, yet this saga proves the contract between storyteller and audience is brittle. Break it, and gravity does the rest. So mirror, mirror on the wall, who will dare pick up that shattered crown next? And will we care enough to watch when they try?